fuck at it.
Okay, we got that one.
Something just popped up, said the stream's live.
Yeah. Where's my go live button?
What is going on my screen right now? Do I have like a weird color gradient? Does it look like half of my face is darker than the other half?
Does it look like half of your face is darker than the other half?
Yeah, I got like a line going down the middle of my screen right now.
It does. It does. So here, I can make that go away.
Okay. I
Yeah.
said that. I was like, the whole time I'm like moving, I'm like, what is that?
You got a really, really, really subtle tattoo.
Yeah, really, it's just slight discoloration of my skin.
Right. All right. So, welcome to the Talking Average Fitness Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Burns. I'm joined, as always, by my friend, my partner in Mr. Dadbod Fitness, Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing
Tired.
pretty good. I got a lot of coffee. I got a lot of coffee. So
There you go. Coffee's good. Gotta love coffee. At least it's not the whole fucking pot this time.
no, that it. But
There's the.
this holds a lot.
It looks like it holds a lot, but I do remember there was one episode where you had a whole ass pot of
Yeah,
coffee next to you.
a whole pot of coffee. Yeah, I got a
Yeah.
carafe upstairs waiting. Fun note about these. These are called captain's cups, so they're like really wide base with a rubber bottom, so that like ship
Hmm.
captains, when the boat rocks back and forth, it won't spill.
It won't fall over the place. Yeah.
They were used as set dressing in Star Trek Deep Space Nine episodes as futuristic looking coffee mugs. Yeah,
I like it.
yeah, which is not at all what we're here to talk about.
No, not at all. But
um,
well, I mean, caffeine is performance enhancing.
It 100% is performance enhancing so long as you don't abuse it. And if you do abuse it, like, any decent adult, especially those with kids, you just
Hmm.
have to take more of it in order to achieve those performance enhancing um, benefits.
Yeah,
By the way, have you seen the clip rolling around of Andrew Huberman talking about how much caffeine he takes in a day?
probably. I'm sure I have at some point. It's just like not off the top of my head, like
800
registering.
milligrams.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
How, like, are you just drinking less water and just like opting for coffee? Are you like just shotgunning some white monsters and going to like what
I
like how
have
do you
no I have no idea.
dry scooping 3 scoops of C4 and
Right?
like just I could see that being a thing. Is like just dry scooping 3 scoops of C4 whilst in your cold plunge at 4 in the morning. That seems like a biohacker like
Some biohacker bullshit.
yeah, dream like morning routine. If I wake
Oh,
up at 3:45, I'm in the cold plunge. I
yeah.
dry scoop 3 scoops of C4 whilst doing sun salutations, and in bare feet because grounding.
Yeah, and bare
Uh,
feet because grounding. I like that.
yes, something like that. I don't know. New
Well,
morning routine. Heard it here
new morning
first.
routines. All right. So, ironically enough, we are here to talk about some new things, right?
Mm.
So, I texted Kevin about this yesterday because I
This is
went
how
down a
most of our podcasts start. Is one of us texts the other one either something that's
about some
like
shit.
yeah, about some shit, just like, hey, have you seen this?
Hmm.
And it's either yes, we have, we should podcast about it, or no, I haven't, we should still podcast
We
about
should
it.
still
So
podcast about it.
that's
Yes.
that's I mean that's honestly how this podcast started was us sending each other some shit. So
Yes.
it all tracks.
All right. So, this is going to get dense for a
Yeah.
second here, right?
If
But
if
then
you
we're going to,
enjoy nerding out about this shit, like
yeah,
strap in, grab your second cup of coffee
for
because we're
real.
getting into it. If you don't like nerding out,
Yeah.
sit down and learn something, like
You
buckle yourself twice maybe. I don't know.
buckle yourself twice. Well, we're gonna see what we can do here. The how do we do this? Okay, so I
What did you
watched it.
send me?
What I sent you was an infographic
Yeah.
about the results from a chimpanzee study.
Yeah.
So there is a company. The company is called Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. They
Fancy.
are right. Like what a like world
Regeneron. Like
ending.
it sounds like post-apocalyptic. Like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These fuckers are going to be the reason we bite it.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, and by the way, I read the press kit that had the original infographic on it, and it reads like a company that is looking to end the world, but that's neither here nor there. So this Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, they did a 20-week clinical trial, double-blind, placebo-controlled, 4 groups. Okay, these are chimpanzees, and they were measuring the effectiveness of 2 drugs or a combination of drugs. Okay, so the first control group was in the chimpanzees. They simply restricted the chimps' caloric intake. So they put them at a partial caloric deficit. Nothing crazy, just a little bit of a deficit. Now, as we talk about the numbers and stuff like this, note that chimps are very small. So like half a gram one way or the other, or pardon me, half a kilogram one way or the other is a big deal. So control group number 1, just caloric deficit. Control group number 2, caloric deficit, and they were given a GLP-1, semaglutide, right? So they were essentially Wegovy. They were dosed with Wegovy, which is the weight loss drug that everybody's been talking about, or various iterations.
Yeah, that or Ozempic. Those are the 2 big ones.
Yeah, well, yeah, like semaglutide or tirzepatide, whichever one ends up being your particular brand of poison. Control group number 3 was given a caloric deficit, semaglutide, and a myostatin antagonist or a myostatin inhibitor. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit nerdy. So myostatin is also called GDF8. I've got notes prepared. Is a protein that acts as a brake on muscle growth. Okay, it's part of a superfamily called TGF beta, like activin A, which we'll come in and we'll talk about in a second. Myostatin in normal physiology keeps muscles from growing too large. That's its job. You have a fucking protein that tells your muscles to stop growing, and it's called myostatin. Fuck you, myostatin. And so that means if you have more myostatin, you have less muscle mass. If you have less myostatin, you have more muscle mass. And when we talk about genetic potential, this is what we're talking about, really, is the presence of myostatin in your body.
And to kind of like put a whatever on that, if you look at, I'm going to like use, because we're in the CrossFit space, right? I'm going to just 2 athletes, just to kind of like to paint a picture, right? And I don't know the physiological breakdown. You'd have to like biopsy muscle fibers and do a whole bunch of digging to figure out who has more myostatin, whatever. Anyways, you look at someone like, you have people who just tend to just naturally have tendency to have more muscle mass versus less. So painting a picture of like some athletes people might know about, if you picture like Brent Fikowski versus Dan Bailey, like they do the same type of training. Dan Bailey looks like a fucking silverback gorilla mixed with a bowling ball, just because that's his genetics. And if you look at pictures of Dan, from high school, it's like he looks the same, but like just slightly smaller overall, because he's a teenager, but like he's always just had more muscle mass. I mean, you look at a picture of Brent Fikowski when he first started CrossFit, he was like this big around.
Yeah.
And then, 2 decades of training later, like he's a muscular dude, but like you get the picture I'm trying to paint here.
I do.
Like, between
I absolutely do.
more versus less. Like Dan likely has less myostatin.
Yeah. Yeah. So control group number 3, semaglutide and a myostatin inhibitor. Control group
in conjunction with a caloric deficit. Yes.
In conjunction
like
with a caloric.
All 4 groups have a caloric deficit.
Yes, that is a constant. All 4 groups have a caloric deficit.
Okay, continue.
Group number 4 is a triple cocktail. So one, they have the caloric deficit, all the others have. They have semaglutide, they have the myostatin inhibitor, and then they have an activin A inhibitor. So activin A, same family as myostatin, it suppresses muscle growth. So more activin A is less muscle mass, right? If you block activin A, it can help preserve or build muscle. Same thing. If you block myostatin, you get more muscle. So the fucking results are insane. And I'm going to put
Sam sent me this fucking graph and I was like, what the fuck?
It's
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 insane.
it's
It's
insane.
it's not like yeah. It's
Yeah.
like
So
you're looking at this thing like if you're like in group 4, like Ronnie Coleman who? Like
yeah,
it's
Roddy Coleman, who I
like
like that.
C-Bum doesn't even get on stage
I
with
know.
these fuckers that are on this that eventually maybe potentially will be on this cocktail. It's oh.
So
Anyways, continue.
so these are chimpanzees.
Yeah.
They're not training. They're
Nope.
not doing weights.
They're just existing.
They sit in a cage. They're
Yep.
they're lab monkeys, literally, right?
Hmm.
So here are the results, right? So this is change in body composition measured by DEXA at
Hmm.
20 weeks, right?
Yes.
So this
Yep.
is group number 1, right?
Hmm.
They had a partial fat loss, right? So negligible, if any, muscle
I'd
loss.
say basically zero muscle loss
Yeah,
and
zero
then
muscle
slight
loss of
fat
what
loss.
looks to be about 400 grams of fat loss. Okay.
Mhm.
Combined with semaglutide, the next one is greater. It's about 700 grams of fat loss. But, and this is the downside with things like semaglutide, if you're not careful, especially if you're not engaged in resistance training, it will take away from your muscle mass. And so you see
Mhm.
a roughly 200-gram loss in muscle.
Mhm.
Okay. Then you go to semaglutide and the myostatin A inhibitor. You've got a 1,300-gram body fat loss,
That's
but
double Wegovy to
that,
be
yeah, that's roughly double the semaglutide only. But look at the muscle loss. There's
zero.
no muscle loss,
Mm-mm.
right? And here's the fucking kick in the pants. Come over here. I have a 1,400. This is the triple cocktail: the myostatin A inhibitor, the activin A inhibitor, or the myostatin inhibitor, the activin A inhibitor, and semaglutide. 1,400-gram body fat loss, only body fat, and they gained 450 grams of muscle.
Yeah.
They
Like,
they took a drug and existed for 20 weeks and gained muscle.
but that's the nutty thing about that is like again, as Sam said, they're not training. They're sitting in a cage. They're at a caloric deficit. Like everything that we have ever known about human
Yeah,
physiology or just physiology in general is
absolutely.
that if you want to gain muscle mass,
Yep.
right, you want to put more muscle on your frame,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be in at least a slight caloric surplus
Yes,
to be able to have your physiology like add that weight and add that muscle mass onto your frame.
absolutely.
They added muscle mass whilst doing nothing
Yeah, it's
and in a caloric deficit. That's fucking so as soon as you sent me this, right? I'm
yeah.
gonna like just from
Go ahead.
my profession now, like I'm looking at this, um, you know, if this goes through and passes all the human trials and safety whatevers and all the 7,000 hoops you'd have to jump through to
Yeah.
actually like get this approved to put out to the market and be like, hey,
Yep.
people, you can take this. Um, you want to get jacked and shredded? Now it does take 7 days. Like you know, so but for me, like especially with what I do in EMS and like I go to nursing homes, you see all these people who like they're just bedbound, right?
Yeah, of course.
And they're in horrible physical condition
I
and
know.
not always necessarily because of their own doing, but just because they don't move much. They're sitting in bed a lot. They're,
Yeah.
whatever else. Something like that triple cocktail, should it be safe and effective and yada, 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 would be the clinical benefits would be massively beneficial for any patients. Think of someone who's like, they've broken their femur
I know.
doing whatever, and they like, hey, your leg is in a full cast for, I'm gonna make up numbers because I don't like, for 3 months.
Yep.
3 months you're in a full cast, and then another 3 months you're non-weight bearing at all, and then after 6 months you're weight bearing as tolerated with a physical therapist, yada yada yada. So that's a whole like process to get back to even be able to walk again, right?
Yeah,
And that
for sure.
person that can't walk is losing so much lean tissue
Yeah.
while they just sit there. And I don't
We
care how old you are. You could be a 20-year-old. and you're
Lean tissue,
losing lean
which by
tissue.
the way is necessary for them to exist, like
Exactly.
way more
Necessary for
necessary
them to,
than body fat.
like, this is going to be like very blunt and whatever, but like if we were able to give this to some of our elderly patients,
Mm-hmm.
the the occurrence of gravity versus grandma, where like like elderly patients just fall because they aren't strong enough to move.
Yeah.
That may be less common because at least they can keep moving. I'm not saying you have to be having, your 90-year-old patients, doing a bajillion handstand push-ups and snatch and clean and jerk, although
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
Would be sick.
But at least they can still continue to move
Yeah.
and be independent.
Yeah.
Because the older, generally, the older you get, the more sedentary you get. The more sedentary you get, the more lean tissue you lose.
Absolutely.
The more lean tissue you lose, the lower your metabolic rate, the easier it is to put on, body fat, and it's just a downward
It is.
spiral of things feeding off each other.
Yep.
As soon as you sent me this, first I was like, me and Sam finally get to be fucking jacked. Like, huzzah!
Let's
The people,
go.
the people, the people that have a hard time putting on muscle mass, let's fucking go. So that was first thought. Second thought was the clinical applications of this could be massive.
So, so you're like, if it passes
Yeah,
all the tests and stuff. So a couple things.
yeah,
First of all, what we are talking about here is essentially semaglutide combined with a bunch of steroids in effect, not in practice. And there's
yeah.
crucial difference here, right? So most SARMs or peptides or steroids, which are testosterone or testosterone derivatives, have a sometimes incredibly nasty cocktail of side effects that come along with them. Most of them are androgenic in effect because testosterone is an androgen, meaning more body hair, deeper voice. All of those things come along with your greater access to lean muscle tissue and things like that, right? So as far as I've been able to research, the side effect profile of these drugs is essentially nothing. And this one company is already in stage 2 human trials.
How many stages are there? Just because I don't
stages.
know. Okay, so we're coming up on perfecting the cocktail.
Yeah, and the FDA doesn't play ball with anything they don't go to stage 2 human trials if it's not safe. Like it's a big deal to go to a stage 2
to get out
trial.
of stage 1. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a big deal to get into human trials first.
There's that. Yeah,
like to have the FDA be like, yeah, you can play with this with humans. Like, obviously, you have to sign a waiver, and like, I understand the risks of being part of the human trial, yada yada yada. But to have the FDA be like, yeah, sure, you can play with this with humans and see how we go. Like, that's a big thing, just right off the bat.
Yeah.
So
and this is not the only. So a couple benefits coming out of this, right? First of all, there's the clinical implications, right? And that would be amazing enough, with the conscious downside that it's probably going to cost an arm and a leg because #Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Regeneron is not the only company working on these drugs. There are many companies working on these drugs. There are many companies who are in clinical trials. So competition will naturally drive the price down, which will increase the availability to people who need it. So that's a good thing, right? It will likely get to a point where third-party pharmaceutical services like Hone or Noom or any of those companies will have access to this, assuming the FDA clears it sometime in 2026, 27, 28.
Somewhere in there.
like that. And you'll simply get it in the mail. And, it's the same way I get my testosterone. It ships.
It's like your subscription. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd be like a subscription service paid.
So now
some subscription price per month. Here we go.
We're talking about a drug cocktail with none of the androgenic side effects and all of the upsides of steroid use, right? That is clinically safe and delivers amazing results. And I had, thank you, ChatGPT, I had it work up a human equivalent. Let's assume you had a set of genetic quadruplets, okay?
Mhm.
4 human males, all of them age 25, all of them weigh 200 pounds, all of them have 20% body fat, okay?
Mhm.
You put them in the same 4 channels: caloric deficit, deficit plus semaglutide, deficit semaglutide and myostatin A, deficit semaglutide, myostatin, and activin A inhibitor. Okay. What you end up with is a quadruplet A, um, ends up with almost no change, right? It's basically the same thing. They'll lose a little bit of body fat, but not a lot. Quadruplet B, semaglutide only, right?
Mhm.
Would lose, what is this? 8 pounds of lean muscle, but they would lose 12 pounds of fat. So they would go from 200 pounds and 200 pounds and 20% body fat to 180 pounds and 15% body fat,
Mhm.
which is like, that's pretty decent results minus the
Yeah,
muscle mass loss,
that's good progress.
right?
Yeah.
Semaglutide and the myostatin inhibitor, that guy would end at 176 pounds. He'd lose 17 pounds of fat. That's more fat than the other one. But his lean mass change would be effectively 0. And his final body fat percentage would be 13.1%.
That's stupid progress.
It's stupid progress. And then finally, the triple cocktail. Assuming the carryover is the same, and the reason they use chimpanzees is my understanding. I'm not a doctor, but it's my understanding based on the reading and based on resources I trust. The reason we use chimpanzees is because the biology is very similar.
Yeah,
So
very similar physiology.
let's make an optimistic assumption that
Mhm.
there is a 1-to-1 in terms of effect on the chimpanzee and effect on the human. Quadruplet 4 would lose 28 pounds of fat. He would gain 9 pounds of muscle, right? And he would finish at 6.6% body fat. He would
That's
literally,
without any resistance training,
with no training,
just existing
just
and
existing.
existing with a caloric deficit.
Now, imagine, just imagine,
I'm imagining.
you take off the semaglutide, right? Just the myostatin A and the activin, or the myostatin and the activin A inhibitor, and a slight caloric surplus, and you take the fucking brakes off your right? The guy who was listening, who's Dr. Mike Israetel, he's like, we are going to have an absolute revolution in bodybuilding, and
Like,
especially female bodybuilding.
so there's that, but I'll tell you this right the fuck now. The CrossFit Games about to be litty titty. Like, about to be litty titty. Oh my God.
But
It's
like,
gonna be amazing.
how do you test for it? It's going to be a whole new
Well, so
dosing
that's the
protocol.
thing. It's how would like I guess you'd have to test for like, but you have to know their baseline, right? So like there would have to be, because how do you test for steroids, right? If I'm going to say
Yeah.
like if you're testing for testosterone, right?
Yep.
There's a normal range which is the 200 nanograms to 800 nanograms per liter,
Mm-hmm.
and so you if you're outside that range, it dings that like
Yep.
you're taking stuff.
Right.
So like that's they test within ranges there. So you'd
Well,
have to
so long as you have a previously established rating in that range. You've got to have
right,
something to base it against, because there are some
right,
people who have natural testosterone over 900.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a minute before drug testing protocols catch up with this, unless they're like people are like kind of keeping an eye out, like you have like the Olympic Committee keeping an eye out and being like, I see people are coming out with this.
Yeah.
Fuck,
I mean,
you
I
know.
gotta imagine there's got to be some kind of control for measuring the presence of the drug in the bloodstream. Like the company who's doing the trial would have to do that. Be like, are you, we're going to take your blood and like, are you taking the drug? Okay, you're taking the drug, or you're not. They should be able to tell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be something. I mean, I like
The argument that was being made by Dr. Mike was like, if you've ever considered taking steroids, just
mhm.
don't. Just wait 3 years,
Yep,
and what
something
you
better's coming.
oh, and
Like it's not taking it's not like adding on stuff like taking exogenous things. It's
yep,
you're manipulating genetics at this point.
yes,
Like it's it's not like, oh, here's a bunch of exogenous, like, synthetic testosterone and
hmm
HGH.
hmm
It's you're manipulating your own genetics and genetic predisposition to how much muscle you can have.
absolutely.
Like man, skinny people are just gonna get bigger, and Dan Bailey is gonna fully turn into a silverback gorilla.
He's just going to become one giant muscle,
I just a ball.
just a giant, roughly square-shaped ball of muscle.
Oh my God. But like, here's the thing though, is like, I mean, this just like opens thing in your head because you have the argument of like, natty versus not
hmm
in the fitness space, and there are probably more people than you would like to admit, and I'll keep it to the CrossFit space because that's just kind of like our background. There's more people than not probably on something. It doesn't have to be like a full cocktail of everything, but on something.
For sure.
Um, and that's across multiple levels. There are people
Yeah.
that don't make it past the open that are on something. Um, it's yeah, there you go. I mean, Sam, it's great example. Like
Yeah.
Sam is juiced to the gills.
About 150 milligrams a week.
yeah. Um, so and they don't have to look monstrous, you know?
What are you trying to
Like
say?
like obviously Sam is built like a Greek god.
Sure.
Um, but you're not Dan Bailey,
No.
yet. Yet.
I got
Um,
I got double the length in my femurs and forearms that Dan Bailey
yeah.
does.
Oh man. What was the man in 2018 that fucked up handstand push-up standard where it was like measure your forearm and then take half that length and add it to your height, and that's where your
Yes.
fucking tape goes for your handstand
Yes.
push-ups?
Yes.
And were you in the same boat as like Jake Hefner that year where he was like my thumbs had to be touching for me to get my heels over the line for a handstand push-up?
That was only my second year doing CrossFit. I don't think I did that workout um, as prescribed.
As
I
prescribed. Okay.
probably did the
You
scales, which is
probably
probably hand release push-ups.
you probably would have been in the same, but like super long forearms, there were athletes just like that, just their forearm dimensions. I mean,
Yeah.
Jake Hefner, he was like, my forearm, like it fucked me.
Yeah.
Like I can't reach the tape.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, but you have all those arguments about, you know, did you get your results naturally
hmm
versus not? A lot of fitness influencers, oh, I got these results naturally. No, you didn't. Um, but and not all of them, some of them, I don't know. But if I had to make a paycheck off of how good my abs look, like you bet your bottom I'd be on stuff. Like
That or I'd get really good at coding AI video.
well, or that too. Yeah, just
Dude,
filters on filters. Um,
VO3. Have you seen the VO3 stuff?
I don't know anything about AI, man.
You
I'm
don't want
I'm
to know
so
about. Okay,
far off
so
it.
real quick.
Yeah.
Google came out recently. Like AI has been getting better. The image generation has obviously been getting better.
It's getting
Google
more
has come out.
realistic.
Google has come out with a AI video service called VEO, and it's the VO3.
Mhm.
It's the third model. I'm confident saying that we are at a point in time now where for a majority of people, it would be indistinguishable from reality. They would not be able to tell that it's artificially created. And like I've seen some videos, and the only way I know it's fake is because there's some harebrained shit being said by the people in the frame. But if they were just regular people, like if they were having like a more natural conversation, I would 100% think that it was a real thing. So we are the next election is going to be Shit show.
Oh man, I don't even. Let's not even get started with that one.
No, let's
Um,
leave that one alone.
man, but
But I mean, I'm a, I'm a big fan of these drugs.
I'm interested. Like, so here's the thing for me, right?
Yeah,
Is like if they're relatively easy to access, because here's the thing for me now, right? Like being past my competitive Kevin years where I'm trying to break into higher level competitive CrossFit and doing this, that, the other.
sure,
And my whole goal now is to live till I'm 120 years old for my family and for my
absolutely,
daughter and the whole thing.
absolutely.
Like, if these help me do that and they're accessible, then fuck yeah. But like, I'm also one of those things where like, I don't risk much. Like, I don't like putting a whole bunch of stuff into my body, like even just like medicine wise, just 'cause I don't like fucking around with it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. So if
Well, I mean,
I'm not messing around with the potential of if
sure,
it's like, hey, there's a 10% chance that you get side effects ABC,
yeah,
like then I probably won't touch it
yeah.
because I don't want to risk that. Because knowing my luck, I'll get all three side effects dialed to 12 because that's just my luck. Um, so
I so I have been playing with a bunch of these products. Obviously, I've been on testosterone now for 6 or 8 months, something like that.
yeah, let's say how you feeling? How's that going?
I feel great. I feel, my workouts are feel great. I'm also in a weird space with the training because like, training for seminars versus training for myself versus training for capacity, like it's all different things. And so like
Mhm.
I listen to my body, I do what feels good, I don't do what doesn't feel good. Like right now I've got a little bit of tennis elbow going on and like pulling like this does not feel good. Um, I'm gonna play with a bunch of PPC 157 and see if that helps it out. And I got a place I'm gonna go pick that up and compound it and like see if I can't help that healing process along with rehab. Um, the testosterone has made my responsiveness to training much greater. I I can feel and see muscle growth, especially in my upper body, with um, less work
Mhm.
than I did previously. And also, there's a byproduct like testosterone makes hard work feel good, and so like
Mhm.
it's very intrinsically rewarding to train. So I keep at it. The other thing that I started playing with was a semaglutide, and
Oh,
yeah, and it is wild. It is a stupid small dosage. So, are you familiar with the mechanism for semaglutide or any GLP-1?
nope.
Cool. So, back to your CSCS study. What is the hormone responsible for creating feelings of satiety?
Ghrelin.
And
Nope.
one,
Nope. That's backwards. I have that
yep,
backwards.
yep,
Do I have that? Yeah.
you do have it backwards.
Well, now my mind's drawing a blank on the other one. I do know it. It's in my
Ghrelin is the
head.
hunger one.
Yeah.
Glucagon,
There we go.
right? So GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide. That's
Hmm.
all it does is it simulates glucagon, right? So it's a hunger suppressant, and with a microscopic dose over 1 week, and by microscopic I mean zero point 0.2 milligrams, my natural hunger and tendency to like overeat and want snacks and stuff like that is just gone. I still hit my macros, I hit all my protein, but there's zero temptation beyond. My wife calls it food noise. Like the food noise is
Hmm.
fucking non-existent. It's insane.
Wow.
Yes. And I have been able to, so I put myself in a cut, and like I have been able to, like, once when I started taking it, it was like the inability to remain adherent
Hmm.
stopped. And all of a sudden it was like bup 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 bup, and just starts like I'm on track to end up sub 10% body fat by July, I think. And thus far with zero muscle loss.
Jesus. Well, sounds like I need that in my life, man. I have such a hard time sticking to a caloric deficit because I'm just
Right?
like
Because
it's
food is
hard for
awesome.
me. Well, so there's that, but also I don't know what I don't know if I don't think I train more intensely than other people, but like
Mm-hmm.
I just for whatever reason when I'm training
Yeah.
and like in a phase where I'm training hard, so
Yep.
like the because I've got half Ironman coming up, try not to die. Um, it's like I'll try not to. Training really hard,
Yeah.
whether it's a CrossFit session, an endurance session, whatever it is. Like I do that,
Mhm.
and there's not enough food in the world to satisfy me. It's like
I
I
know.
just the rest of the day is just like pounding water and food, and it's like I'll eat like a whole ass chicken breast, 2 cups of rice, and like an apple and a banana, and then afterwards be like, let me just make myself also 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and just
Yeah.
eat both of those.
Yeah.
It's just like there's not enough food in the world.
It is my weakness is sweets. Like throughout the day.
Yeah, 1,000%. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
It's
It's
it's not great, I'll be honest.
it's not great. Where
I
like me and Samuel finished dinner, I'm like, you know what I could do right now is just eat 2 whole pints of Ben and Jerry's, like
right.
without
And
even thinking about it.
right. It's all of that, dude, all of that is gone.
Where are you getting your stuff? Oh, because like I
New.
and but like the thing that frustrates me is
Yeah.
like about that is and this is like not to have a knock on you. It's just like something I struggle with mentally. Is I feel like because I am experienced in this, because I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
Like I love David Goggins' thing where he was like, it's just a quote from him in a podcast where he's like, when you're going through this, that, the other, he's like,
Mm.
you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
He goes, if you're X amount overweight, like you don't need someone to tell you, you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like it's just hard doing it.
It's so
And
hard.
so it's so hard doing it. And so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like if I take something,
Yeah.
it like gives me an out with like my discipline. Like I feel like I should be able to be more disciplined,
I get that.
and I can be for periods of time.
Yep.
But it's like I feel like whenever I do a cut, which right now I'm just like if I'm hungry, I
You're
eat
just trying to
things
keep up.
because yeah, because I'm like if I'm hungry, I eat things because I'm also training my fucking face off.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and so uh, it's like, but like every time I do attempt a cut of some sort, the
Yeah.
longest I've been able to go, like being what I'll call like 85% plus compliant. And that's like compliant being like hitting all my numbers. If
Yeah.
something's like a little bit off or over, like I call that like not full, even if it's not much, like you're 100, 200 calories over, like it still wasn't fully compliant.
Yep.
The longest I've been able to go like, 85 or 90% compliant is like 6 weeks. And then and then it's just like 2 pints of Ben and Jerry's to my face hole. And because we got like an ice cream place down the road, holy cow! And it's just like they have one that's just like I'd divorce Sammy, marry that pint of ice cream, dude. Um, and so it's it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and I like
The mother of your children has nothing on a pot of ice cream.
not that pint
Oh,
of ice cream, man. Are you kidding me? Like, oh man, not that pint of ice cream.
oh wow.
Uh,
Oh, that's amazing.
oh,
I get it.
I hope someone takes like a screen grab of this from Instagram and sends it to Sammy. That'd be funny.
Oh, it
Um,
would be. Someone clip this.
yeah, but
I go ahead.
so I just the reason I struggle with it is like I feel like I should be able to be more disciplined.
Yeah.
But then also like the more I've like there have been times I've been more compliant with diets, even like with short breaks in between, like more compliant. I've
Yeah.
been leaner. I've been less lean
Yeah.
than I currently am. And there's part of me that also kind of like gives myself the excuse of like, oh, like just my genetics don't allow me to be that lean. Like it just because I've trained with infinitely more volume than I do now and
Yeah.
been better about my diet than I am now, or better, more appropriate, I'll say,
Sure.
for the training that was going on. And I was leaner and I had more muscle mass, but I also still was like never, I don't think I've ever been below like 12 or 13% body fat's been like
Right.
my lowest. I'm at like 17% now.
Sure.
Um, but I don't know, gives me that excuse of like, oh, well, I just genetically am not meant to be super lean. Um,
See,
so I struggle with it. So I struggle with it mentally. The idea of like
helping
taking
yourself
something.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, taking something. It's and not that taking something is bad because if it puts you in a better spot health wise, right?
Sure.
Which I've outwardly stated my goal is to live until I'm 120,
Yes.
and you know still be doing fitness and be able
Mhm.
to be there for my family.
Yeah.
And so if taking something would help me do that and
Yeah.
align with that goal, then that should be okay. But I
Yeah.
still just in my brain because I'm a psycho is like you should be able to do this on your own because you're a coach and you do this and you know what you're doing
Yeah.
and you should be able to do it. And so
So
I don't know.
so I understand that. And in that regard, I'm of
You
two
do.
minds.
Hmm.
I also don't give a shit. And
no,
let me not about your struggle. I care very much
no,
about your
no,
struggle.
no, no, no. That's not how I took it. That was
Okay.
just great. Like I don't give a fuck.
So here's the way I come at this, right? First
Yeah.
of all, I've seen the practical effect that
Hmm.
a drug like this has. My wife
Hmm.
Katie has been on semaglutide for over a year. She's lost
Okay.
not over a year, almost a year. She's lost 50 pounds and is is back to like pre-baby body weight.
There we go.
And for the first time in 5 years since we started attempting to conceive and then being
Hmm.
successful twice, her body is her own again, right? And it it matters, like to her and how she feels. Like it makes a
Hmm.
difference. And
Yeah.
I would say that there's a I don't know that it's necessarily about just discipline because I can take something like a semaglutide and still eat like an asshole and still
Yeah.
not train. But what really turns it around for me is my experience with Lexapro, where in trying to manage my anxiety and trying to do this
Hmm.
thing, I'm trying to be disciplined. I'm going to therapy. I'm reading books. It's like Stoic philosophy up the ass. Like I'm trying to do the fucking right thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I want to be a better father, I want to be a better husband. You know, I want to be the best version of myself. And I firmly believe that letting go of some of the things that I get anxious over is going to help me along that path.
Hmm.
Lexapro just turned down the fucking noise. And my relationship with my kids got better instantly. I
Yeah.
was able to, I had greater emotional bandwidth. I was able to stay calm longer. Things that grossed me out or drove me up the wall didn't anymore. And so I could actually co-regulate and I could be a calming force in my children's life instead of an agitating one.
Mm.
And I could absolutely discipline my way through that.
It's fucking hard.
It's so hard. And
But
apparently, I didn't have what was necessary at the time. I had not figured out how to do it. It's like when I was trying to stop drinking. I could not figure out a way to regulate my drinking. I had to stop. And if you created a drug that came along and you didn't promise me you can drink normal, because I honestly don't believe, like I'll be like, how normal can I get? I'll abuse the shit out of that. But if
yeah.
you said, I will remove your desire for a drink. It's just you don't want to drink.
Hmm.
Like that could change some fucking lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
absolutely endorse something like that. And so when I look like a semaglutide, I look at that, I'm like, does it have to be this hard? And sure, there is virtue and value in chasing discipline if you get an intrinsic return on that investment. I don't believe there's, I don't know how much inherent value there is in chasing discipline as such rather than discipline in specific things. Because you can be disciplined about being a drug addict. I did it, right? I did it for like almost a
Yeah.
decade. and so
Yeah.
and so like it's not all the same. And if you're trying to do good things with yourself and in your life, something like this, if it can just make it a little bit easier, dude, go. Yes. Make your life a little bit easier so that you have more energy to do more important things. What the hell was that?
Showed like two people on like crotch rockets at like a drag race down my road.
What?
That was amazing. Yeah. Um,
That's yeah, that flammable use
my
is amazing.
yeah, yeah. My condolences for your small genitalia.
Oh.
Um,
Every time I see some guy ripping around on a motorcycle, I literally say a prayer to God. I'm like, please keep that person alive. Motorcycles
yeah,
scare the shit out of me.
yeah. That's like my dad had one when he was in his 20s, right?
Yeah.
Drove my grandmother, my mom's mom, up the fucking wall because she was like, you're gonna crash and kill both of you. And so one day, like he was riding by himself, he did crash,
Oh God.
and he crashed and he went like head first into something. And thank God he was wearing a helmet. Um, Helmet split open, whole thing, but no head injury. Like he probably had a concussion of some degree,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
no spinal vertebral injuries, no nothing. Like he walked away with a concussion from like a head first crash on a motorcycle. Um, and at least from what he his describing of the whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point he was like, nope, no more.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
I'm all done.
as you would. Um,
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully, maybe. I was like, let's do that again. um, yeah, that's so back to your point about like the making life easier. Like I the reason I struggle with that is because I think there is something to be gained by overcoming it on your own. And now how worthwhile that is for each person
Yeah.
is different. Like
Yeah.
for some person, and I hate that I keep using like Goggins as a reference, but I'll
But
use it.
he's
Like,
a ready hardo
yeah,
example.
yeah. So for someone like that, if everything you can take, so I take everything that most people say with a grain of salt because
Mm-hmm.
it's their own experience, right? It might
Mm-hmm.
not extrapolate out to everybody else, but I think there are things you can take from it. So for Goggins, right, he's like, every day I go to war with myself, like mentally. And so the reason he does what he does and the way that the reason he is the way he
Yeah.
is because he has struggled with just his discipline,
Yeah.
his like he was, severely overweight at one point in his life before,
Yeah.
joining the military and going to the SEALs. And his way through it was head down through it and just like I remember on advice, he's like, if someone could like put a megaphone up to like his internal dialogue, like you'd be
Yeah.
mortified. Like he's
Yeah.
not nice to himself. And
Sure.
most people, that's not productive. Like, calling yourself a bitch and fuck you, you soft piece of shit, like mentally to yourself in your head
Yeah.
is not what most people should do. It's not what I would recommend most people should do.
Nope. Not gonna do
um,
it.
that's not going to do it for most people. Like it's not motivating for most people to like to have that be a thing.
Yeah.
But for him, for whatever reason, that was the way through, and now he's through. He's
Yeah.
he's
Good.
where he is now.
Fucking hats off.
And yeah, so and so not that I'm like that to myself in my head, but like in my head, like I feel like I should be able to just kind of like head down, power through.
Yeah.
Like no, you don't need that fucking cookie.
Yeah.
You don't need it. Why are you gonna go eat it? But I'm still gonna go eat it because it's there. It's available. It's readily available in my house, and I'm gonna go eat it. And then once I have one, I'm gonna have 5 more because fuck me, that cookie was amazing.
See, now if you replace cookie with beer, it'd be like
Yeah,
you're an alcoholic. You know?
yeah. I'm a
And
sugarholic, 100%.
sure.
I've said this. I said this on a previous podcast. Like it,
Yeah.
and I haven't like. I was talking with my brother about this. Like we both have pretty addictive personalities.
Mm,
Anything we do, like we're gonna go like full into it,
yeah.
and like mama didn't raise no bitch, so we're not doing anything halfway.
Right. Kevin
Which
doesn't
is why
understand moderation very well.
no, um, which is why like I can't not compete in things because if I'm gonna start running, like I'm gonna try and be the best marathon runner I can be. If I'm gonna do
Right.
CrossFit, like when's the next open? Like we're gonna try and go to the games. Like it just like
Right.
I can't put a lid on that.
Yeah.
I have a really really hard time putting a lid on
Yeah.
that. And if I'm gonna play soccer, like why wouldn't I try and play like at the semi-pro professional level? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't I? Like
Absolutely.
I can't just do like a Sunday beer league kickabout. It's
Right.
I have a hard time with that. So it's the same thing with like sugar stuff. Like if like I can't have just one cookie. Like I'm gonna have at least 2 to 3 cookies
Sure.
before I move on with my life.
Right.
Um, which is why like the if it fits your macros thing, like
Yeah.
that's a dangerous ball game for me, homie, because
Yeah.
like watch me make 7 cookies fit my macros. Like I like
You've heard the bit about when Pat oh god, we've had him on the podcast.
Oh, Pat Barber.
Pat Barber. When Pat Barber first started doing the zone, right? He
Yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
he would zone diet like Cheetos and beer.
Yeah. No, he said like because James Hobart used to teach this at seminars. Like he figured out how to zone McDonald's,
Amazing.
like how to like if you because he's like I try like so I remember James did this like there are stories about this at the level 1 seminar. Someone at a level 1, I forget who was giving the talk. I was at a level 1. I was the POC
Yeah.
at CrossFit Boston, and someone was giving the nutrition lecture.
Yeah.
Paul Tremblay was giving the nutrition lecture, and he told a story about how James used to. He was like, I'm not sure if he still does this, but he used to when he would give the nutrition lecture, talk about how he was using himself as an example about how he was on the road a lot,
Mhm.
and when he was on the road, like he would sometimes just hit up a McDonald's, but he had figured out if I order this, this, and this, like it fits his own prescriptions for him going through McDonald's. Like that's I mean, it figures because it's James, but like at the
Sure.
same time, like that's pretty that's pretty clever. Um,
He's a smart boy.
yeah, he is.
Boy,
Um,
I don't know if he's older than me or not. I don't think he is.
no,
Neither here nor there.
he's a couple years younger than you.
No.
Um, but yeah, so like those are things I struggle with because it's like why do I want to go and have that cookie? I know it's not benefiting me like from a performance standpoint,
Sure.
really. Unless I'm so like far depleted on like the day that I do my half Ironman, the wheels are off. Like as
Sure.
after that's done, like it doesn't matter because I burned 6,000 calories during that race. It's
Yeah. You
so
won't be able
nothing.
to eat enough.
No, so nothing matters.
You'll eat 3 pizzas and still be in a deficit.
Yeah. I can't wait. It's that's the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
You sound like an alcoholic planning a relapse. That's exactly what this sounds like.
It's like, Kevin, why do you compete in fitness so much? Because man, after my competition, I just go.
I go ham.
That's like so. Like, have you ever heard like bodybuilders during prep, and like that afterwards? Like, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I had a friend of mine in college. Quick story. Like, in college, this is the most insane thing ever. He made friends with the kitchen staff, like in his time there, like knew them all by first name basis, whole thing.
Smart man.
And so when he was going through his prep for a show, he was doing men's physique.
Yep.
For like, so he's not on anything. He, like, if you look at him, it's mostly about just being lean, and your shape is
Yep.
the main thing. It's not so much size.
Yeah.
In the judging criteria, and you're not in banana hammock. You're in a like pair of swim trunks for on stage. So Zach, during prep, like, this is the, and again, this is like the most disciplined thing I've ever seen, especially like in a college dining hall.
Yeah.
Is he would go up, so every like breakfast, lunch, dinner, they have like the main area where people can come up and like get their food. He would go up to a separate window, and Chef Mike would have Zach's breakfast, lunch, and dinner prepared for him. Breakfast was like 2 eggs, 4 egg whites, a bowl of oatmeal, and some veggie of choice, whatever was roasted veggies. For it could have been like, peppers and onions in with the eggs, something like that. So you'd have that and Zach was obviously in charge of like all of his protein shakes and supplements and whatnot. For lunch and dinner, it was the same thing for both meals. It was 2 chicken breasts, seasoned and grilled and roasted, however, 2 cups of white rice, or 2 cups of like chopped roasted sweet potato, and broccoli. It was the same thing for lunch and dinner, and he did that every day for
however long his prep was.
Yeah, close to like 4, 5, 6 months, like somewhere in there. He looked incredible. He did his show, right? He looked absolutely insane. He missed out on his pro card by 1 spot. He was so close. He looked incredible, but he had and I went to his shows in Maryland, and myself and another friend of ours, Ryan, we went with him to like help him with his prep, help him with his workouts, just to kind of like be his back room staff. You need someone to like rub oil on you. You need someone to like help you with sit on you while you do
the middle of your back.
Yeah, just all that stuff. So we went with him, helped him out, and his show was in Maryland. Took like a little road trip, and after his show, I remember he was like, "We're gonna get pizza. There's a Domino's down the road. Like, we're gonna call an order." And he ordered an extra large pizza just for himself. And then was like, "You guys get whatever you want." And so he got his extra large pizza. I forget what toppings were on there. I think me and Ryan split a large pizza between the two. We go to pick it up, and the dude at the counter was like, "Hey, someone mobile ordered a medium cheese pizza, and they never came to get it. Like, we're gonna have to throw it out. Do you want it?" Because he's from the body, like he's orange, so he sees from the bodybuilding show. So he's like, "Do you want it?" And Zach was like, "How much for it?" And the dude was like, "We're gonna have to throw it out. I'll just give it to you." And so Zach was like, "Fuck yeah,
bring it on."
And so he got so we've got 3 pizzas, right? Going back to the hotel room, we got 3 pizzas. We stopped by the Stop and Shop, and he got like that tub, like the bowl, the $5 bowl of soft chocolate chip cookies.
Oh yeah.
He got one of those, and then like a candy, like a big bag of Sour Patch Kids or something. We went back to the hotel room. Zach ate both pizzas, almost the entire tub of chocolate chip cookies, and half the bag of Sour Patch Kids that night.
Amazing.
It was. The thing is, we went to the gym tomorrow morning because he was like, he's got some frustration. I'm gonna go like smash a chest workout and feel good about myself. The pump he had the next morning from all those carbs.
Oh, dude.
He sat there and he was like, "Fuck! If I had gone on stage like this, I would have won." Like, So, but it's like that's the same sort of thing. It's like just the massive binge afterwards from like doing like a bodybuilding prep is the same thing. Like it all comes from, I'm sure, like an addictive personality and like the, whatever else. But that's the struggle. And so I just like, as much as I would love to be like, hey, I'd love to be leaner because it does affect your health. I don't need to be, 4% body fat, stage ready, influencer type lean. But being 10% body fat instead of 17% body fat has positive beneficial effects on your health.
100%. Yeah.
Just really struggle with having to take something to get there.
I get it. I get it. And I hope you figure that shit out. Cuz I have. Here's the way, honestly, the way I look at it.
Okay, hit me.
When I say I don't care, what I mean is I care more about other things. I have other things that are more important to me.
Mhm,
And so I care about my training. I care about my
mhm,
health. I care about doing what I can to make sure that they're as optimized as I can within the context of the life that I live, within the
mhm,
context of my role as a stay-at-home dad, my role as, gymnastics seminar staff, within my role as um, a husband, in my role as figuring out how to build a gigantic ass swing set. A little construction project going out here in the side yard.
fucking love that.
I don't. It's. I mean, I do, but
That's-
you know, you know.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so all of those things, the aggregate, is
Mhm,
more important to me than whether or not, and this is me, whether or
mhm,
not I get hung up on the amount of shortcutting and its potentially ethical implications that I take with something like making my diet easier, you know? And I think for some people, you're welcome to hang your hat on that. Like there is a tremendous amount of discipline that is required to be successful at something like that. I think that there's a cost for everything, and everyone gets to pick. If you want to
mhm,
focus on that, that's cool. Other things will suffer. Period. Full stop. Because you got the same number of hours in a week as everybody else, you know? And a
mhm.
third of that, ideally, you're fucking unconscious. So, like, you get to decide what's important. And, like, if I can actually focus on the things that are important and then also improve my body composition and have it not be a fucking struggle, yes, I'm going to do that.
That's fair. And like, I'll have to look into like dosages and stuff of GLP-1s because even if not for me, that would be something that'd be beneficial for Sammy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she's absurdly busy, she doesn't get to work out
Yeah.
as much as she would maybe like to or want
Moms never
to.
do.
Um, just because, yeah, because mom stuff. Because
Because
like
hashtag mom
obviously
love.
because especially the days that she's on Avery duty, like that's Thursdays and Sundays. Those are the 2 days that I work my 24-hour shifts.
Yep.
So she is on, full on Avery
Oh,
duty.
yeah.
Um, and then like Friday is my day. That's full on Avery duty.
Yep.
Um, because she's working
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And those days are hard. Like on Fridays, like I'll try and sneak something in at nap time,
Mm-hmm.
but um, those days are hard. And Sammy's busy at work and she's got this, that, and the other. But like exactly as you said, made the comment of like Katie's body feels like her own again. Like that is a big time struggle for moms.
Yeah.
And like I know is a big time struggle for Sammy, postpartum from the
Mm-hmm.
first one. And
Yeah.
that's like we haven't even tried for number two yet. So like things that just concern me are side effects. Like people that are just dosing themselves with Ozempic
Yeah.
but like not doing anything. It's like
There's a smart way to do it, you know?
yeah, there has to be a smart way to do it. Like whether it's playing with the dosages or and you're going to be in a better position than most because you do train and you do like take things like your diet seriously. Like we had someone who had like that we took from the ER. They had to go from the ER in Peabody
Yep.
to the ER in Burlington or Boston, one of those two. I can't remember, but we had to take
Yeah.
them like it was a hospital transport. And they called us. We had to take her to just like make sure blood pressure and everything stayed stable while
Mm-hmm.
she was going. Um, because she had absolutely demolished her gallbladder just dosing herself with Wegovy, but then
Yeah.
also like binge eating Burger King. Um, and so it's like, that's not smart. Don't do that. Um, and so it's like you kind of have like serious health whatevers. And so like that's what like another thing that hangs me up on the taking of things
Yeah.
um, is the potential health downsides.
Yeah.
But as you've said, there's a way to go about things smartly, whether it's playing with the dosages, making sure you monitor everything
Oh yeah.
closely, um, making sure you're not eating like an asshole,
Yeah.
which there is still discipline in that. Like it's, as you said, you can take a GLP-1 and then still eat like an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
but if you take your GLP-1 and also like stay disciplined with your food choices, like then that would just help that.
Well, and I would use Katie as an example where she's had a 50-pound weight loss and only a pound of that roughly has been muscle mass. Like, and we know we've got an in body, and we step on it all the time. That's what we use for our weigh-ins. And
Mm-hmm.
she had, with negligible muscle loss and a massive body fat loss, like she had to be diligent with her training. She had to be diligent with her protein intake. Like she did all of
Mm-hmm.
the right things
Mm-hmm.
and had an ideal outcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, side effect profile wise, there's a bunch of random side effects. The most common one I gather is nausea. Um, like it makes you feel a little queasy. It's like, oh, I don't want to eat. Like that kind of thing. Which I experienced very little of, but I don't even know if I'm going to up my dosage. Like I'm at the
I mean,
smallest dose
why
possible,
would you if you're
right?
if you're at the smallest dose possible and you're on track to be sub 10% body fat in a month?
Yeah,
Like I keep
a
if it
little bit
ain't
longer
broke,
than a
don't
month,
fix it.
but yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, but it's like
yeah,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
absolutely.
Slow and steady wins the race, right?
Hmm.
In terms of, at least for me, in terms of like minimizing side effects and maximizing benefit,
Hmm.
because you can maybe get there faster and be sub 10% body fat by the end of the month, but then again, you risk the increased risk of side effects and muscle loss and
Yeah,
yada yada yada.
ain't about that sarcopenia life.
You listen, for us taller, lanky motherfuckers, it's hard enough to get muscle on that frame as it is.
Oh, that
Like
sacrifice
you know,
shit.
you know what I had to go through to put on 1 pound of muscle, motherfucker. Like I had to do
Oh,
so much.
I had to squat half your height to just fucking make it happen.
I had to spend so long, so far down in the bottom of a squat with so much weight on my back
I know. I
to put
know.
1 pound of muscle on this gangly frame.
I know. Well,
The
I mean, hopefully we can come back and we can review something else like this, in a year or so, and we have some updated news. But the some of the drugs that are coming out are some of the drugs that are available currently are insane, and then coupled with some of the ones that are coming out, it's going to be potentially world changing.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, if you like this, please send us a message, and if you didn't like it, also send us a message because clickbait. Um,
yeah.
let's rage comment, everybody. Just rage comment, and
I
we
love
will.
rage comments.
I know, right? And we will see you on the other side, or whenever else we choose to do this again. Take it easy,
Yeah.
everybody.